It's me, it's Queen Osetteru, and thank you for joining me for another exciting edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Now, I just wanted to answer a quick question. I already gave you guys three videos today. Two of them are really short, but I don't want to bombard your your inboxes and your emails with me, which is very Aquarius, by the way. I just wanted to answer a question. Someone asked me, and I thought this was really important. This person told me that they were going to therapy and they weren't feeling better. They've been going to therapy for a couple months now. It's only been like 4 months, and they don't feel any better. They don't feel like they've made any progress. And the person asked me, why doesn't therapy work for everyone? And she wanted me to explain, because a lot of people, she says she knows, had a wonderful time at therapy and she can't figure out why it didn't work for her. So this is the thing about therapy. Therapy is just like seeing a doctor, okay? When you see a doctor or you see a healer, sometimes it's not the right person. Sometimes people come to me for a reading and I'm very clear I'm not the right person to help them. I can give them the information, I can look at the cards for them, but what they're looking for isn't really my forte. I'm more of a healer. They might be looking for more of a fortune teller or something like that, you know? People who can make predictions. And I do make predictions, but it's not what I'm really happiest doing. I'm happiest helping people heal their lives, figure out what's going wrong, because the cards are very specific about what things you can do to change your life. So in predictions, some people use cards to fortune tell. I see fortunes too, but predictions are extremely unpredictable at best. Some of the times the future changes. A lot of times the future changes by what you do in the present tense. So people may come to me and they want a whole bunch of predictions. What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? What's going to do this? What's going to do that? And I can sit there and do it for them, but it really bores me because I feel like, you know, my talents and my abilities are much better used as a healing source. So I'm not really the right reader for them. And this is what I mean by a therapist. Sometimes your therapist is not right for you. And somebody told me the other day they went to therapy and they felt worse. You don't have the right therapist. If you go to therapy and you feel nothing or you feel worse, you're working with the wrong healer. That's all. And finding a therapist is a little harder than finding a doctor, because generally, if you go to the doctor, it's easier to help you heal physically than it is to help you heal emotionally and mentally. It's much more difficult because there are a lot more factors involved. You can go to almost any doctor in the world and they can tell you how to cure your common cold. You can go to any doctor in the world and they can tell you how to lower your blood pressure. You can go to any doctor in the world and they'll tell you how to heal a broken leg. You know, any doctor in the world can do those things worth their salt. You know, probably a first-year med student can even do that. But it's harder to help someone heal their emotional and mental wounds, their spiritual wounds. That's harder. Some doctors, some therapists don't even come from a spiritual standpoint. So they're just going for the emotional wounds and the mental health issues. So if you find yourself in a situation where your therapist is making things worse or your therapist isn't working at all, you have the wrong therapist. You either have a therapist who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, or you have a wrong fit for you. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. Maybe you need somebody who has more of a therapeutic base that's based in spirituality. My daughter at one point was going to a therapist to work through like performance anxiety, and her therapist had her doing like aromatherapy. Now another therapist might not think aromatherapy is a good idea. My daughter responded very well to it. Some people don't respond well to it. So my thing is that if your therapist is not working for you, get a different therapist. Stop going. Go see somebody else. And if you don't want to just keep shooting blindly in the dark, ask people. Get recommendations. There's people online, there's people in your life who have good therapists. Find out who they are, find out what kind of treatments they're using. Ask these kinds of questions before you even go into the person's office. Find out what treatments they offer. Find out if they offer recommendations for books and things along those lines. So that's the first thing, is that you may be just working with the wrong person. Maybe not a bad person, just the wrong person. Maybe you're a man and you need to work with another man. Maybe you're a woman and you need to work with another woman. Maybe you need exactly the opposite. Maybe it would be easier for you to work with a female and you're a masculine energy. Everybody's a little bit different. So if it's not working for you, don't keep on going, and don't think that therapy just doesn't work. You just don't have the right treatment. You don't have the right specialist, and you don't have the right treatment. So go to another specialist. It's just like, again, your doctor. If your doctor is not curing you, you're not going to just keep going back to the same doctor. You're going to get what? A second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion if you got to. Go get another opinion. Another reason why therapy doesn't work is because therapists usually give you exercises to do. They usually give you things to read, journal activities, books to get, aromas to, burn in your home. They always give you different activities. You need to consistently do these activities. A lot of people I know go to therapy, get the activities, never do the activities. So they don't heal. And then they're mad at the therapist. And I'm like, but you didn't read the book she gave you. You didn't do the journal entries. You didn't do any of the work that she told you to do. When I was in therapy, my therapist gave me an assignment every time she saw me. And by the time she saw me again, she wanted me to report back about the assignment. By the time I saw her again, I was finished. And I could then engage with her with the assignments, So you have to do the work. The only reason why, I'm going to tell you guys something. Somebody asked me one time, how come I healed and they didn't? They were talking about healing emotionally. And I said, because I did the work. This person didn't do their work. They didn't do any of the work. They did it a little bit sometimes, put it like that, inconsistently. Healing doesn't work like that. You have to do the work consistently, and you have to do it with conviction. You can't just be like, well, maybe tomorrow I'll do my journal, or oh, she told me to do a journal, but I don't know. You have to really be dedicated and committed to healing and doing the work, whatever the work is. And it could have, in my case, it was seeing a therapist, it was doing the exercises, and at the same time I was studying to be a priestess of Mayat. So I needed the spiritual component, which was a heavy spiritual component. And some of you may need a heavy spiritual component to add on as well. I always recommend spirituality to a person who's trying to heal. So maybe one of the things that could be going on if your therapy isn't working is maybe you need to add some spirituality to your therapy. Maybe your therapist is doing some exercises with you that are doing really good, but you need to go out there and find out what spiritual energy you want to add to it. For me, it was becoming a priestess. For you, it might be, taking your shahada. For you, it might be God knows what. It could be anything. It could be doing a course in miracles. It could be learning to pray and meditate every day. It could be anything. But maybe you need to add a spiritual component. So the second thing that keeps people from healing is not doing the work. Not doing it at all, or not doing it consistently, not doing it enough, and not doing the right work. The third thing, your therapist is a guide. It's kind of like taking a class, When I took classes at Temple University, when I was taking classes, I would read the required materials, but I also read the recommended materials. And I read the materials that came up in the recommended materials and in the required materials, because in the back of the book there was always further reading. So whatever your therapist gives you, don't just stop there. Continue forward. Do further investigation, further reading. If your therapist tells you about doing law of attraction, for example, or chakras or something like that, take what they give you and do further exploration, further reading. Go further down the rabbit hole with it. If they tell you, hey, you really should learn more about your heart chakra, Google it, get a book on it, learn about it, get meditations on the heart chakra, find out why the heart chakra is important to healing. Go down the rabbit hole. Okay? Those three things can definitely help you if you're having a problem in your therapy. So some people it's all three things. Some people it might just be one of those things. And still yet some of you may have even other things going on. But those are the three things that I notice that plague most people when they come to me and say therapy isn't working. Once I start to ask questions and dig down deep, it's usually one or all of those three things. Okay? So if you need therapy, therapy works. Certain communities, like my community, haven't always embraced therapy. At one point in time, we thought, oh, just crazy people go to therapy. But that's not true. People who are in agony, people who want to find a way out of agony, people who are sane and don't want to go insane, people who are having any kind of issue from small to large can go to therapy. Therapy is not a bad thing. Therapy is a good thing. That's like saying it's bad to go get your teeth cleaned. It's not ever bad to do maintenance on yourself. Therapy is emotional and mental maintenance. And if you ask me, I seriously believe that anybody who's alive can benefit from therapy, because most of us have been through traumas. Some of us have come through them easier than others, but we've all been through them. I think many people have at least a slight form of PTSD and never really deal with it. So I think we all could benefit from a year or so of therapy, even if you had a regular life. You know, it can help you to be able to deal with people even better. So I always recommend it. And if you've identified that you need help, this is the process that you go through. I mentioned before online. Online has a lot of places where you can Google the therapist and see other people's experiences with them. And you can find out if they're good or not. You know, you can go to Facebook. Facebook has groups of people, and some of those people will even be able to recommend therapists in your neighborhoods and in your part of the world. It just takes a little bit of research. You need to research before you go into a therapist's office and see, you know, if they seem to be compatible with you, if their treatment seems to be something that you want to try. And don't shy away from, you know, different kinds of therapy, different kinds of therapists. Like I said before, one might do aromatherapy. One might do some other kind of thing. You know, there's all kinds of therapies. There's laughter therapy. There's aromatherapy. There's, oh my God, there's so many kinds. If you just Google the word therapy, so many things come up. So be open to different types of therapy. And then yet and still, another thing is that some people really don't do well with the therapeutic setting. Some people do more working in the spiritual setting as their therapy. So you might want to go to a spiritual leader. You might want to get a reading, and you may want to do it that way. It's a lot of ways to do it, but you need to start first with doing a lot of research about what you can and can't or should and shouldn't, or what you just don't want to do or you do want to do. Okay? I hope it helps. See you later.